Welcome, everybody, to the Straight No Chaser podcast. This is the show where we talk about human freedom through money, technology, economics, and philosophy. Today is episode 3 of our monthly roundtable. We have a full house today, everybody's on board, and we have a great chat. We do talk a bit more about the technology side of things in Bitcoin at the moment, and we cover topics such as Sparrow Wallet launching silent payments in their latest update. We talk about stablecoins being sent over the Bitcoin or Lightning network. We also chat a little bit about some interesting things in South Africa. Discovery Bank app has got some weird thing that it does with contacts. We also talk about Money Badger and the amazing work that they're doing, as well as the BTC Pay server guys. So good chat all round. I know you guys will enjoy this one. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. It's a fine Wednesday morning here in South Africa, Nicola. Fine Wednesday morning in Namibia too, and South Africa. Good to have all you guys on board. What's been happening in your lives since we last chatted?
I can tell you it hasn't been raining in Namibia.
It hasn't. Wait, it really hasn't. We've gotten twice warnings that it's going to be raining from central to northern Namibia. And everybody was like, bro, you said that last week and it was like a heat wave. Like, you got it completely wrong.
Yeah, when last you guys have rain in Namibia? Like 1932?
Yeah, it was the last time that like South African meat tasted good, right? Like when you guys had good biltong around that time.
That's a shame.
But yeah, Ricky, you want to go first with what's been going on? We're going to go, because on my screen, you're like the clockwise person that should be talking.
Yeah. Things are good. Super busy with work. Orange is going really well at the moment. So we're really busy there. And then besides that, preparing for the Plan B Lugano conference that Hamran and I are going to on Sunday. We fly out. So we got presentations there. So yeah, busy prepping all of that. Otherwise life is good, man.
Can you give us a quick highlight on your presentation? Just overview.
Yeah. So I'm going to be presenting Orange at Plan B in Lugano. So we'll be just explaining, what Orange is, where we've come to since our last conference appearance, which was at Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town earlier in the year, January. So we'll be presenting and doing live demos again. That's going to be fun. Hopefully things don't break while we're doing the live demo. And we hope to showcase some new rails that we've been working on. We've got 2 new rails, which we hope to be able to show at the conference for the first time. So that'll be exciting. If those land and if the live demos work well, then we should be away to the races. If they don't, well, it could be bad. So fingers crossed.
Herman, your side, what's been happening?
I spent a bit of time with Oaken recently, not in Namibia or South Africa. We were in Nashville. And I landed back a couple of days ago, and I'll be flying again in a few days with Ricky to Lugano. I won't be presenting there. I'll be on a panel. But I'll be hounding people to try and drum up some support for our big construction project that's hopefully starting in February, March 2026, depending on local government. We've been coming closer and closer, one small bureaucratic step at a time. We've been coming closer to a point where we can actually purchase the land. And we'll probably be able to do that before the end of the year. And it's taken longer than anticipated, but we did get it for a very, very good price. We'll end up paying 100,000 Rand. What's that? $6,000 for a 4,500 square meter plot. that has one of the best views I've ever seen. It's got a 180-degree view of the ocean, and yeah, it's on. I mean, there's photos of it on the website, so if you're curious, you can go look at it, and hopefully we'll start building early next year. We have the funding currently to build about a third of what we want to build. If we want to build the remaining 2/3, we have to raise more funds. But even if we don't, that's fine. If we only build a third, that's already 2 or 3 times bigger than what we have at the moment. So it'll be a huge improvement, even if we don't raise any additional funding. But obviously, we'd like to build the entire thing and ultimately turn this into a sort of a hub for people to use as an event space. It'll be quite a unique event space because it'll be in the midst of a Bitcoin circular economy. So, we won't be able to host huge events, anything up to like 100 people at a time maximum. But like for companies, for summits, for whatever you want to do, it'll be a little different from going to a normal event space. You'll be able to talk about Bitcoin and plan the revolution from within a sort of a revolutionary space, if that makes sense, rather than going to some normal fiat venue where the people that run the venue don't know what the hell you're talking about when you're trying to talk to them about Bitcoin. So that's the long-term goal. We've been working on this for a year and a half, and it's getting to a point now where we're very close to taking that first big step, which is to purchase the land from the local government. If it was a private purchase, it would have been a lot easier, but way more expensive. So we went through the extra hassle of dealing with the bureaucratic process so we can get the land at a steep discount.
That sounds incredible, man. Awesome. Good luck with that. And I'll certainly keep posting the social media feeds and updates on that. And I'll certainly keep reposting and sharing as much as I can. Nicola, you're up.
So from my side, I was with Herman for like a great week of amazing food, being overfed like continuously in Nashville. It was great to meet with the developers, the activists, everybody again, and for meeting with new people for the first time. There's always the one thing of these Bitcoin summits and conferences is you get the chance to actually meet some of these people that you've been speaking with for like 5 years, but you've never met in person. You were just speaking to a NIM, and now you met the NIM, and then you're like, hey, what can we do, and what can be? So recently just came back, not going to Lugano with these guys. I don't know how Herman does it. Some of the times it's like, I don't have kids and a wife, and that I have to come back and leave again. Like I just come back to my studio basically. So it's not as taxing for me as it is for him. But we're back to full force in Namibia as per usual. Everybody's been calling up asking when I'm back, and now that I'm back, it's just meetings. I'm actually right at 12, or at the top of the hour. I have to go and help a new place that wants to accept Bitcoin. They didn't know that they were allowed to. So I randomly got in there yesterday. A friend said, let's see if they have drinks here. And so we got places coming back online. Media houses are starting to call about Bitcoin. I think a lot of that also hinges off of some of the things that Trump has been saying and what happened last week, Friday. So there's a lot of things in the space I think we have time to discuss. A lot of new hodlers were invented or birthed last weekend. So I'm looking forward to the convo.
Sweet, man. That sounds awesome. Last Friday, bloodbath in the streets or bloodbath in the interwebs. I don't know how you describe it, but pretty interesting times ahead. Anyone's phone start pinging a bit more on Friday morning, and someone started saying, "What? Something's going on. What the hell?"
Yeah. So I am in a WhatsApp group that a friend of mine added me to with all his degenerate trading mates. I don't trade anymore for, I don't know, 8 years now. But I'm in this group with these guys, and they all got wrecked. There's a weeping and a wailing and a gnashing of teeth in that group. I was all trading on leverage, and they just all got margin called their stop losses got knocked out and they were just got absolutely wrecked. So in the group itself, I'm seeing guys being like, fuck this, I'm done. I'm DCAing only at spot now. I'm only just DCAing Bitcoin. They're done with trading. It's manipulated. It's rigged. And I was like, yeah, it is. Idiots. That's exactly what happens. So yeah, funny. Ooh, fire alarm. Hopefully it's not a real fire.
And hopefully it's not your house.
No, just an office I rent so it can burn down. But yeah, I'll see if I need to evacuate or not.
So as far as my side goes, I mean, I'm not a big Bitcoin OG, but I was in Stellenbosch like a week ago for that Stellenbosch Bitcoin Symposium. Ricky, I got to meet your mate, your sidekick over there. Who, embarrassingly now at my age, I've just forgotten his first name. So dude with dark curly hair and a cap. That's as best as I can describe him. But yeah.
No, look, it happens to the best of us. We forget things. It's all right.
I think I forgot to take one of my 20 pills this morning, so names are slipping. But no, seriously, yeah, he was super a great speaker. Hey? It was like super cool hearing him talk. Obviously, clearly knowledgeable on the whole topic, payments, how they work, and he was fielding questions. It was super cool. So very informative. Great to be there. Yeah, I'm going to try and get to my first adopting Bitcoin in Jan. I've never been. So this will be my first, and hopefully catch a beer with you guys while we're there. Any smoke there, Ricky, or any flames? Or are you fine?
I just asked and they said we don't know. So very, very laissez-faire about their approach to fire alarms here in this building.
It reminds me of those old weather app things that like a rock on a chain. I don't know if you've seen them. They had one at Tiffindale Ski Resort. And they said, when the rock is moving, then it's windy. When the rock is wet, it's raining. So when there's smoke and fire, then we have a problem.
I like the way those guys were thinking. Practical.
Physics, man. You just can't beat it. You know, stuff the algorithm. Just physics, man. Physics. But awesome, guys. Nice to have you here. So just thought we'd quickly chat about some tech stuff. We normally go politics, economics, and that sort of thing first. But Nikolai, I know you've been chomping at the bit. You've got some tech in your head that you just need to talk about. So I just punched a couple of things out here. Something interesting that came up. First RGB asset swap over Lightning mainnet by someone called Kaleidoswap. So it looks like it's the first real world live test of an asset. I think they called it, it was basically USDT. They called it TUSDT that went across. That's all I know. Has anyone got a comment on this? Is this the next wave of shitcoinery, or is this the next wave of mass adoption? Is this when the global south becomes like a superpower because the global south seems to run on USDT? What are your thoughts?
Don't say that too quickly. TUSDT. Don't say it.
So if I can jump in on this. So this is something that's super relevant to us at Orange, actually. So what we're doing at Orange is we're building a Lightning settlement system that connects to on and off ramps all around the world. So it's like fiat on and off ramps. So for example, Nigeria, South Africa, you've got an on ramp in Nigeria and off ramp in South Africa. So you can send Naira from Nigeria, it converts into sats and then gets sent to South Africa and then off ramps into rands, right? So what we're doing is building all these on and off ramps into our system. And so stable coins are just another on ramp, right? So it's just another mechanism for people to send money in. And so Lightning is like the settlement rail for us. So stable coins on Lightning remove the need for us to dick around with other stablecoin chains like Solana and Polygon and Cardano and Ethereum and all that stuff. So it's very interesting for us to see this happen because it means that we won't have to change our infrastructure, and our Lightning service providers won't have to change the infrastructure. You're still running Lightning nodes, etc. So that becomes super interesting to see how that plays out. We've been watching this for about a year now, quite attentively to see what happens. As far as I know, this is not the first test. It might be the first test with RGB, but there have been other tests happening. It's already live on mainnet. So there's for the past 2 months or so. So there has been some testing going on. We're waiting to see robust testing before we look to integrate. But basically, the takeaway would be that you could then settle USD stablecoin on the Lightning network, which is great, and that kills all stablecoin chains, because the main use case for stablecoin chains, the blockchains, is stablecoin settlement. I call them stablecoin chains. The main use case for Ethereum and Solana and Polygon and Tron is stablecoin settlement, right? That's the thing they're used for. So this will kill all of those, because Lightning is far more efficient than any of those chains. You got instant settlement and at essentially super low cost, right? So you don't have to do proof of stake or any of that calc. So that kills those chains, in my opinion. However, you stare into the abyss stares into you. What happens, aside from our business interests with Orange, but like, what happens when you put stable coins on Lightning? Now you've let the abyss into your network. So I'm not technically clued up enough to know like if it can cause any real issues. From my base understanding is that, like, look, you can still settle sats across the network, no problem. The concern you have with the stablecoin thing is that they might gobble up a large amount of like activity on the chain, and then you've got, like, let's say more activity settling stablecoins than you have settling Bitcoin or sats. What does that do to your Lightning network operations? Like, what does that do to your node operators? Do you end up with this weird system where node operators get captured by like KYC requirements for stablecoins? Because stablecoins are CBDCs, in my opinion. So what happens then to your Lightning nodes? Many questions I have around that. I don't know, Nikolai, maybe you know a bit more about this stuff, but that's a potential issue I see on the horizon.
I have opinions rather than, let's not call it knowledge, let's call it opinions, right? And my opinion is, firstly, why do we have stable coins? Why was Bitcoin created, right?
We have stable coins because the US government needs to export the inflation. That's why we have stable coins.
And we decided we want this to also exist on the system that was supposed to be separate from this entire thing, right? But my thing is this. Firstly, I don't like calling them stable coins because they are stable in what way, right? A lot of them have lost peggings before. And what happens, I've always said, what happens if the US dollar fails and you have people in this USDT stablecoin instead of in Bitcoin? Did you help them? Did you get, help them get sovereignty and all that? No, you just got them into another debt bubble that now is even worse. But while that's said, there's also a bit that we have to acknowledge or think about. Like, the whole thing of Bitcoin was, oh, don't worry about these shitcoins and altcoins or whatever. Everything, Bitcoin will swallow everything. All roads lead back to Bitcoin. Now we're angry that people want to create shitcoins on top of Bitcoin, when we said all of that stuff's going to come to Bitcoin. We've been saying it for years, right? So the thing is, what do we really want here? Do we want Bitcoin and 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 shitcoins out there that people are gambling with, and they're used as stocks tokens and gambling, and they're in their own thing? Or are we saying, hey, here is a system that was created that you can literally use to do almost anything on? You can build anything on layers, right? Again, we're not saying you must do everything on layer 1 or layer 2, which would be like, you could build layer 3, 4s for all of these different things. And that's, I think, what's going to happen. But stable coins is a distraction, right? In the sense, I agree with Ricky, it's a CBDC, it's a central bank digital currency, where you have a central entity that is now moving its quote unquote power throughout the world further than what it would have maybe gone, right? Again, I cannot buy something with US dollars in Namibia. If I hold US dollars and I try to purchase something, that is illegal. I can go to jail for that. But all of a sudden, I can use a USDT stablecoin, right? For government's view also, that's a bit of a, what are you guys trying to do? This is not Bitcoin. Now, if we're also again saying, okay, we're going to bring stable coins on top of Bitcoin itself, or Lightning Bitcoin, that starts asking, again, regulators start asking more questions. I would rather everybody do this on Liquid, right? Whatever tokens you want to do it on the Liquid chain, do it on the side chain. No problem with people doing it. And I don't understand why they don't want to. the blocks like confirm way faster, the fees are way less. Like, why not just move everything there and actually do it? Now, RGB is a different protocol. Like, it's like, another, I think it's another side chain as well, or a layer 3. I can't remember exactly how they were building it out. But again, I would say we have tools to do some of these things in a non-obtrusive way, a way that doesn't invite more oversight, to Bitcoin in a certain sense. And I think we're not looking at any of that. We're just playing around with all these other Ethereum based and Tether based and who's based, and I don't know if it's really worth it.
Do you think that there's a likelihood that people are used to stable coins? They want the stable coins, so they want to transact in that, and so once it starts running on Lightning or Bitcoin, do you think the penny will drop after a while, that the guys will say, hey man, this thing is actually running on Bitcoin, why don't I just skip buy the stable coin step and just buy the Bitcoin and send it instead of extra layer of friction? Or do you think the fact that it's the user doesn't know it's on Bitcoin rails actually obfuscates, tongue twister word there, so they don't even know that it's on Bitcoin, they may not make the connection, I could just skip this shitcoin step and just go straight to Bitcoin?
In my opinion, the jump from somebody starting at something to move to something else all of a sudden, I don't see it happening for 99% of the people that you're introducing. Here's an example. Get them to download one wallet, then try to get them to download a second wallet. They're like, why do I need a second wallet? I already have this wallet. Why didn't you just give me the second wallet from the beginning? Like, all of that starts coming. Like, people want ease. They don't want complicated, I got to do 25 steps. They're like, just tell me where I buy the Bitcoin, where I put the Bitcoin. Now, if you're giving them USDT and saying, hey, we're going to get to Bitcoin, but you should use this because it's easy to transact in, they're never going to get to the step of actually saying, let me go buy Bitcoin. Because they're like, oh, USDT is just as great. You've shown them that there's apparently a second best, where there is no second best, right? They're not getting to the actual Bitcoin. And this is the same thing as ETFs. It's people that have fiduciary media, right? The representation of money, things like credit cards. It's not actually money, but people think it's money. It's a representation of that. Now, what we're doing here is trying to show people a representation of Bitcoin. Instead of them owning the Bitcoin that they have the right to and today can do, we're telling them put that off and rather get this other asset, right, that makes things easy for you right now. Whereas Lightning is easy, it's just people don't want to talk about Lightning. They're like, again, they don't get paid. Like, what does Tether make out of talking about Lightning? They don't make money. Then why do you exist then? I don't need you. You were talking about being fast and why am I? So it's about what do we want? When we speak to people about orange pulling, so quote unquote, or whatever, like, what is the goal here? Is it to give them financial freedom, or is it to get them a new master? Because those are not the same thing, right? Just changing the king isn't like stopping the war or whatever.
I don't think we should be calling them stable coins at all. They are crypto dollars. And I look forward to the day where the USDT market cap exceeds the market cap of the native token of the blockchain that it's living on. It's going to be a glorious, almost as glorious as what happened this past weekend. It's just amazing to see some of these shitcoins tank by like 60% or 70%, and to see the Bitcoin market cap dominance go up, because at the end of the day, there's no real demand for these things. It's people speculating, trying to make a quick buck. At the end of the day, if there was a real demand for these things, they wouldn't have crashed by 70% in some cases, even more than that. So yeah, they are stable. They are stable chains, because the only reason they're there is because of stable coins. But I completely agree with what both of these guys said, and I'm wary of these things coming onto Bitcoin, because it is gonna maybe. Although then again, I mean, I don't know. Regulators and governments are already paying so much attention that it's unlikely that you can attract more attention than what you already are attracting. But yeah, then again, I'm very, very wary. I'm not in the camp of I don't know what a good name for this camp is, but I think it's summarized quite well by the Las Vegas conference vibe that I attended earlier this year, where it's kind of like it seems like everybody there is just cheering on the sort of support that they're getting from the Trump White House and all his buddies. And I'm very, very wary of this, because I don't trust those people for 1 minute. They'll say what you want them to say, and as soon as it's no longer convenient for them, they'll change their tune. So I don't know, dollars on Lightning, yeah, sure, I guess it's useful, but I don't think it's going to actually bring more people into Bitcoin. People don't care how things work; they just want it to work. And if dollars go from point A to point B, they're not going to care how it gets there. Not the average person. To me, it's interesting, and I'll pay attention to how it gets from point A to B, but 95% of people don't care how it gets from A to B.
Yeah, I agree with Hammer. 95% of people don't care, but it's the 5% of people that change the world. The 95% actually don't matter, like the average Joe, who's not paying attention doesn't really change the world. The thing that I would implore everyone to go listen to Whitney Webb and her view on Tether and what's happening there. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with everything she's saying, but it's very good to hear a dissenting opinion on what she thinks is happening there. The other thing that I think is very interesting is that Tether is being embraced by the US government in a massive way. This was not the case under the Biden administration. And when Trump came into power, there was a massive, massive policy shift in terms of embracing Tether specifically. USDC to a lesser degree, but those are the two kind of USD stablecoins that have been embraced big time by the government. And I was just on Tether's website, they have launched a thing called USAT. Tether unveils USAT, its planned US regulated dollar-backed stablecoin. Right, so this is probably some kind of domestic dollar that they're producing, a domestic crypto dollar, and Tether might be the offshore dollar. And the reason why, personally, I think the US government is embracing Tether so much and stablecoin so much is because they realize this is the best way for them to export their inflation. So there's two things that they need to do in the US administration, regardless of who's president. The one thing they need to do is they need to export dollars so they can export the inflation. Because if the inflation stays at home, if all the dollars stay at home, the inflation rate in America will be like 100%, at least. And there will be blood on the streets, and there'll be pitchforks and tar and feathers, and everything will come crumbling down. And you've got 300 million guns in America. So they need to keep that inflation offshore as much as possible. So previously they've done that via, dollarizing other countries, collapsing their economies, whether it's on purpose or not. But then those countries end up becoming dollarized, but they don't have control of their monetary policy. So like El Salvador, for example, is dollarized. They use the US dollar as their own currency, but they have no control of the monetary policy. It's set by America, right? So the new dollars that are created are in circulation affect them. So they experience inflation because of the monetary inflation, right? The amount of dollars that are floating around the whole world. And so what they've done with Tether is they've made it much, much, much easier and more efficient to export those dollars now. And Tether is the number 5 buyer of US treasuries in the world, competing with nation states. Like it owns more US treasuries than most other countries combined. And sure, there might be short-term treasuries, they're 3-month T-bills, so and then a lot of that's held in Bitcoin as well. But the point being, they are a buyer of US debt. And this is why the US government, the present administration is so stoked about it. A, they can export their inflation. B, they have a buyer of their bonds. Because you guys might be aware, China and Russia have been dumping US bonds massively. China specifically. Russia dumped them a long time ago. China is offloading. And as the trade wars heat up and the American empire goes full turbo while it's in its death throes, you're going to see more and more countries offloading US debt. So they need to find buyers, guaranteed buyers of debt. And so that, in my opinion, is what's going on. What's really interesting is that the Eurozone is not pursuing the same strategy. And that might be because the European politicians are functionally retarded but there might be other reasons for it too. But in the Eurozone, they are not pursuing a euro stablecoin. They are pursuing a digital euro, and they're going full CBDC. Whereas in America, in classic American fashion, they bring in a contractor to do it. Whereas in classic communist fashion in Europe, they do it in-house, right? So this is the two different approaches they're taking here. But the European Union is a geopolitical entity. It's not just a trading bloc. It's become much, much more insidious than that. And so they need buyers of European bonds as well. But this is why I say they might be retarded, because the way they're going about it is terrible. Germany has removed their debt brake, and that's the largest economy, the most stable economy in the Eurozone. And they typically are the people, if you're going to buy debt, A-grade European debt, you're going to buy German debt. But now, Germany is coming apart at the seams. They removed the debt brake. They're increasing their debt to GDP ratio. Bottom line, what does this mean for the euro? Nothing good, right? Who's gonna buy the euro? And the euro was brought in 20 years ago, however long it was, 25 years ago, was brought in specifically to be a competitor to the US as a world reserve currency. That was the aim. And I think they're going about it in a terrible way. It was not working for them. So long story short, I think there's very, very, very high level government involvement in the US stablecoin market at the highest levels. And it is not an organic thing. So I'm very wary of it because of that. But the other thing to tie back to what Hamran and Oken was saying is that this is a permissionless system. Bitcoin's a permissionless system. So you can go and build your things on top of Bitcoin, right? No one can stop you. And as long as we maintain small blocks that you can run your own nodes and you can decentralize, the node runners are still in charge of the network, then it doesn't matter. They can build what they want to build on top of it. They can't stop Bitcoin. Ultimately, we can't do anything about it. We've seen that with op return. There's nothing you can do. The system is what it is. So I don't know. I've gotten a bit of a ramble there, but I think there's intel agencies at work. This is not like a totally organic thing. And whenever there's an intel agency at work, you got to assume there's large amounts of fuckery afoot. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, guys, certainly watch this space, I think. Remains to be seen how this thing unfolds. And I suspect it's going to be a pretty recurring topic every month as we do this thing, just to talk about what's actually happening. Last little bit of tech news, something in the local flavor. I see Sparrow Wallet has introduced silent payments in their latest release. One more step towards it.
I'm going to update right now.
So, that's one more step in the freedom direction, I think. It's awesome to hear that. Has anybody tried this or tested it? Any experience with silent payments? As far as I understand, it is a way. It's a way to send a payment that is not an on-chain transaction that's visible. So you can send a payment through, and no one can really see where it's going. A bit like an L2, or maybe it uses L2.
No, it's L1. It's layer one. It's layer one. It's on chain, and it is just a way of. It's a SIBIP, so Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. It's a way of obfuscating the details surrounding the transaction. So it gives you much more privacy at an on-chain level. It requires a server being online, etc., etc. So a few trade-offs there. It's a big improvement in on-chain privacy without having to do coin joins, etc. And it means that any external observer, if you're an external observer of a coin join transaction, you can see it's being part of a coin join. Whereas with silent payment, you can't, because it's not being part of a coin join. So the on-chain privacy you get from it is massive, and the fact that Sparrow is incorporated is phenomenal. Because previously it was like some fringe wallets that were using it. Fringe wallets, but like Cake Wallet were like the first guys to incorporate it. I know they had a couple of issues with it. Josie was actually here in our office space. He's the core dev who was working on silent payments. So I had a long chat with him about it earlier in the year. And they were having issues with Cake, but hats off to Cake Wallet for being the first guys to implement it. Super, super cool that they did it. And now that Sparrow is incorporated, that's fantastic news, because you'll have way more users using it now in their day-to-day.
I think Sparrow's only implemented for sending so far. I chatted to Craig in Nashville. I don't think it's for receiving. So you can send silent payments to Sparrow, but you can't yet receive it. But I chatted with him, and he's very keen on it. I'll embarrass myself if I try and explain how it works. But maybe I should do that anyway. The way I understand it, it's basically a reusable. It comes down to like a reusable on-chain address that hides the actual address that the payments go to, and you as the sender can verify that your payment was sent to the correct address on-chain. But you can't associate other on-chain payments. You can't link other on-chain addresses to that particular silent payment address. So you can keep using it. It's like using an on-chain address QR code over and over again, but essentially generating a new address for the recipient every time it does that. I'm not sure how it does that. The way I understood Craig explaining it is that it combines some of the transaction data to actually generate a new on-chain address every single time you send a payment to the silent payment address. But I'm particularly interested in this because there's, believe it or not, opening up a BTC Pay server donation page is too much of a hassle for some people. And so, a lot of people tend to put on-chain addresses on their websites for whatever project they're running, because a lot of people don't want to go through the hassle of having to click yet another link and make one or two extra clicks in order to finally get to a point where they have an on-chain donation address. And so, but obviously that's terrible for privacy because you can see exactly how much money has been raised. So yeah, I'm very curious to start using it. But Craig did say that it's only for sending in Sparrow at the moment. I don't know when it'll be for receiving. I wasn't aware that there needs to be a server needs to be online for you to receive these payments. That's interesting. I'd love to go.
I might be speaking under correction here. Like I said, before we started this, I know enough about tech to be a danger to myself.
Likewise.
No, you guys are actually correct. I did a quick little. I asked AI explain in simple terms for me, and the one thing they did say was that you do actually need something to be online, and that's going to be scanning consistently for payments made to those addresses. So there is some sort of online thing. So just to confirm what you're saying.
And so this is Sparrow version 2.3.0. I just updated right now. So I've actually got to do an on-chain transaction in about an hour or two. So I will do that via silent payment and let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, back to what Hadman was saying, it is, you basically can put up a static address. So you don't have to replace with a new address every time. So for those who want to put up a static receiving address for on-chain payments, you can then use it and people can't see all the payments that have come in effectively. So it means that you don't have to spin up a BTC Pay server, for example. And as someone who runs a BTC Pay server, on both on the cloud and on my home server, most people don't run it because they don't have a home server, and therefore they have to pay cloud hosting fees, and that's like $300 a month, and to set it up is a little bit of effort. So that's typically why people don't do it, But if anyone wants to use BTC Pay server, they can get a hold of me. I've got a public facing instance where you can create a profile and do what you want on it. So you can run BTC Pay server for free using my public facing instance. So hit me up if you want to do that. BTC Pay server is the best thing ever. We have run for the past 3 years, all of our ticket sales and food sales through Adopting Bitcoin conference on BTC Pay server flawlessly, no hiccups. I mean, Hadman, I don't know what it is we've processed so far, but it's over 2 million rand if we add up all the conferences together. And I think our total hosting costs, if I have to break it down for the conference, man, it's a few $100 rand, that it cost us in hosting fees because there's no processing fees. So yeah, now that we've got silent payments in there too, I wonder if BTC Pay server is going to implement this themselves. But you kind of don't need to, right? If you've got silent payments through Sparrow, you don't need to have it through BTC Pay server. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, super cool.
I would like to concur. BTC Pay Server is one of the greatest things of all time. I've been using mine now to onboard a lot of merchants in Namibia and systems that we're building out. So there's so much you can do. Like literally, it's if you haven't yet, give it a whirl. Jump on Ricky's. Don't jump on my server yet, please. I'd like to keep it very very clean and mine.
I mean, I don't think silent payments is going to replace BTC Pay Server. I don't think you would use a silent. Yeah, it's a totally different use case.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we've been using BTC Pay Server both for the conference, fundraising for our project. We've run most of our tourism business payments. About 70% of our tourism business has been running on BTC Pay Server for the last 3 years. So yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic. Those guys, what an awesome project, man. And it's not even like I mean, obviously they do raise funding and stuff, but it's not even a profit generating business really. They just built this thing and basically gave it away for free. That's just incredible. That's something that's quite unique to the Bitcoin space. I hate that word, but a Bitcoin space, if you want to call it that, it's quite unique.
I think it started because Nicholas Doria, the one of the chief maintainers of BTC Pay Server, said to the BitGo guys, he's like, we are going to destroy you, because they basically pissed him off because BitGo
He was like, I will make you obsolete. Watch this.
Obsolete, yeah. And he has, right? You know, absolutely. Like BTC Pay Server, it just doesn't break. It's so reliable. It works so well. It's fantastic. So hats off to those guys. It's an amazing project.
With the new integration of the Shamrock protocol, I don't know if any of you have used that yet. So I had to, as soon as it came out, I was like, wait, I gotta test this out. So literally what it does is when you go and you spin up your BTC Pay, like let's say somebody logs in on yours, Ricky, or on mine, right? And they created an account. It will give you on the first screen, it gives you the option to like set up your wallet, your Lightning node, whatever. And then the last option is Shamrock protocol. And if you click on there, you choose whether you want to use Bitcoin, Lightning, and Liquid, which one of the ones you want on. Then you hit generate QR code, and it literally gives you a QR code that you then take your Aqua wallet, scan from your Aqua wallet, and it sets up all of your channels and stuff on the back end. So now you don't have to run your own Lightning, you don't have to run a Liquid, none of that. Every payment that you get actually comes through. So again, I'm not the one that's holding your funds. It's going through to your Aqua wallet. You're literally just using me as the platform to move through. And I think that's going to make it a lot easier to get people on board and to say, hey, just download Aqua Wallet for yourself. That's literally the meeting I'm going to go have just now. Download Aqua Wallet, scan on your own computer, just create your account. This is the link, and then go forward. Now you can create your point of sale machines, your crowdfunding, all of those things. So that's going to be fun.
Definitely going to add some links in the show notes to BTC Pay Server and all that. Yeah, there are legends, Uncle Rockstar and all that sort of thing. It's just it's a whole culture. It's awesome. Last bit of local news. Interesting thing that happened to me. I thought it might just be worth chatting about. Discovery Bank app. I opened my app the other day. And it popped up with a screen that said, hey, they've got this great new feature. They will just download all my contacts, and then I can pay any other Discovery app person directly at no fees or something weird. So I said, no thanks, I don't want that. But there was a no thanks option on there. So I closed the app, opened the app again, the same screen popped up. I sort of hit the next button. Then the app did a update. And when the app had updated, apparently, like all my contacts were like now live on Discovery. So I was on Twitter in a flash, and they said, no, there's an option where you can opt out of it and this and that. But basically, due to the way the app upgrade worked, that option fell away. And then I had to go back into my phone after the fact, like the next day, and then disable that contact sharing feature in my phone's OS. It wasn't even anything to do with Discovery. Totally unacceptable. This is the financial institution. I mean, the Poppy Act and all that, I just jumped to mind. These guys have basically raped my phone, taken all the contacts, And I'm pretty sure people are now going to start getting discovery messages, marketing stuff directly through to their phone. So I just wasn't sure if any of you guys had experienced something, but yeah, flipping frightening, guys.
Yeah, I don't bank with Discovery, thankfully, but yes, I saw when you posted that in the chat group show notes beforehand. I was like, yes, they are taking liberties. The Poppy Act is ridiculous, though. Like, it's like no one pays attention to it. It's just like it was a complete waste of time. I recently got a burner phone. Got myself a burner SIM. Never called anyone, never texted anyone. I just installed it, and within an hour, I got a phone call from like random spammers. So I can only assume that the service provider who I got the SIM card through is sharing that number with a list of people, because I never texted anyone's brand new number. So like that kind of stuff is happening all the time, you know. Your details are out there, those numbers are out there, and like the spammers just have a field day, Discovery included.
I actually saw a headline in the US where the feds or the CIA or one of these three-letter agencies raided a multi-story data center in New York that was just wrecked full of these SIM cards that they used for spam phone calls, spam messaging, like a whole warehouse full of the thing. And then about a week later, I saw someone on Twitter talking about the local economy in South Africa and saying that basically there's so much spam phone calls and messages going around on cell phones that it's making voice call in this country almost unusable, and people just don't do it. So now everyone's going on to WhatsApp calling, and that instead of just using MTN or Vodacom. I don't know what more to say about that, but space to watch, I suppose.
I mean, think about it. Like, how many of you guys accept calls from random numbers, right?
Yeah, not at all, eh?
I don't know who's jerky who can hear me or not. Yeah. No. Like if you see a random number phoning you, you don't answer it because you're like, this is a spammer, obviously. And that's where we're at now. You know, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people would answer, someone phones you to a number you don't have. You're like, okay, I assume this is someone trying to get a hold of me for some legitimate purpose. And you'd answer your phone. Now you're like, this is obviously a spammer trying to spam me, sell me some cuck, or scam me, you know? And so this is why I say the Poppy Act is a joke, because like if the Poppy Act meant anything, this wouldn't be happening. But like we just inundated with spammers, and that's why everyone's moving to WhatsApp. And so like it's on the layer 2 now, which is WhatsApp, to try to like police that and keep the spam out. But it's incessant, man. It's full on. Can you imagine what it's gonna be like in 10 years' time? It's gonna be outrageous.
I kind of feel sorry for the people on the other side of the line sometimes, because every now and then it is a human being. More often than not, it's a robot, and then I just couldn't care less. But I do feel, because I become so rude, man. Like I can't help it. I try not to, but I just like I'm so tempted. But I know it's not their fault. But I mean, fuck, dude, it's so irritating. It's like, hello, am I speaking to so and so? How's it going? How are you? Like, no, what the fuck? This is. They just, I don't know. I kind of, and I don't pick up those calls anymore. If it's not, if my phone doesn't recognize the number, so it's basically made phone calls almost unusable, because there are obviously from time to time, there are people that do get a hold of me via email or whatever, and they said, hey, we tried to call you and you didn't pick up. And like, yeah, well, I mean, the reason I didn't pick up is because your call was lost in between a million other spam calls. So it's kind of unfortunate how it's made regular phone calls almost unusable.
Guys, Bitcoin fixes this. It was Jesse from Kraken who built a tool. I think it was with on-chain. It was before Lightning, but he built a tool where, like, if you're trying to send him an email or call him, you have to pay like a nominal SAT fee to get a hold of him, because it stops the spammers, right? And like that's, I think, where it's going to get to. Where like, if you want to speak to me, you got to pay, because that'll stop like a spam, like put a spam filter, because like these spammers can't afford to pay 10 sats per call, because they'll go bankrupt, you know, very quickly.
So like back in the, I think it was like in 2020, 2021, around there, like with Sphinx Chat. I remember on Sphinx Chat, you could,
Yeah.
I literally was sending people there and being like, if you want me to answer questions, go to Sphinx Chat and ask the question. I will answer the question. To reveal the answer, you had to pay sats. That's how it, like you could literally like put down how much per one of your messages each message was, and people would have to pay to reveal the messages. I had it in like one of his group chats. It was great, and that will come back. But it will come back along AI agents that you will give a budget to in Bitcoin that will go out and pay sats or eCash to get you into whatever, getting your appointments done, all of that, because you're going to have to prove you're a human, but we don't want to go digital ID ways. So it's going to have to be, yo, pay for this. Like, because why else would you do it?
Just think how high quality the spam is going to be when they have to pay to reach you.
Is that spam, or is it just family trying to get a hold of you?
But the thing is, like, I don't understand. Like, if someone needs to get a hold of me, send me a message on WhatsApp, right? And then phone me on WhatsApp. Like, if you just random number phoning me, it's unknown number. Like, you just go straight to block. You never call, you never speak to me again. Straight to block, you know? That's what it is. But so, like, clearly, we're all bitching about this. The market is ripe for disruption in South Africa. Truecaller was supposed to be the solution, but even Truecaller can't handle, you know? I still get spam calls all the time. They're flagged as spam, at least on Truecaller, so you can see that. But, like, who knows if Truecaller is sharing your details with everyone else? So, yeah, it's clearly a Bitcoin-based solution here. And this is a good segue into the next point, that South Africa, I think, guys, we can reliably say that South Africa is the number one place to be for spending and living on Bitcoin in the world right now. Like, so if there's any way we can build a solution, I think here is going to be the place to do it. Because, I mean, Money Badger has been absolutely killing it. I spent a few days with them at a conference last month. And since then, they've onboarded 600,000 merchants since I was with them through other integrations they're doing. Like, honestly, like, you can live on Bitcoin in a very, very easy way in South Africa now, which is great to see. So I'm sure we're gonna be chatting to a bunch of people about that in Lugano. But yeah, it's good. Love to see it, man. South Africa leading the way again. It's great.
Yeah, I would like to shout out to Money Badger as well. I think they were the guys, one of the sponsors behind the Stellenbosch Symposium recently. So it was actually good to see some of them down there. And they actually they are sponsoring a thing with Bootlegger. So if you have a Bitcoin meetup, you can just have it at your local Bootlegger, and they will actually pay you to go and have a coffee at Bootlegger with your meetup group. So we've been doing it with ours. It's actually super cool. What we found that works really well is, I think they give you 500. They give you $500 towards the meetup. And when the guys come in, I actually say the first 10 people that pitch up get $50 towards their drinks bill, and I send it to them via Blink Wallet. I get them, if they don't have it, we have to download a Blink Wallet on their phone for them. I quickly send them the $50, and then at the end of the evening, Money Badger just do like a reimburse to me for that. So it's super cool. Most people are just blown away because they've seen Bitcoin in action for the first time. Like, they actually see it appear on their phone. They scan their mate's barcode or QR code. They send the payment. They can't believe it's so simple and so easy. And in most of the people I speak to, using it is the aha moment for a lot of people. It's all theory until you scan that code and get that green check on your, money sent or sat sent or whatever. It's super cool. So shout out to those guys for sure.
Yeah, and if you're not on the Money Badger single group, you should be, because what they've built there from like a community engagement perspective is like a sight to behold. Someone running a business, like, they are really going about it the right way. People join the group, and then there's just like dozens of people every day posting videos of how they're paying with Money Badger all over the country at like random new places they can figure it out. There's guys who are like, it's almost like a job to them. Every day, like 5 times a day, they're like, paid here. It just and that's pushing like the user testing for Money Badger. These are unpaid people. They give them some sats here and there, to like as a prize, but like the way they've approached it is great. And they've got so much engagement from their community. Super cool to see. So it's made our life really easy for the conference in January for adopting Bitcoin in Cape Town. we were planning a treasure hunt on one of the days leading up to the conference, and you got to go spend Bitcoin. And now it's like it's almost too easy with Money Badger. It's like, okay, cool. Every single shop you walk into, you can spend. Basically. So we have to rethink our strategy there, but make it a bit harder. But yeah, they've made our treasure hunt far too easy. So now we're gonna have to put like treasure items on top of the mountain or something to make it a bit harder.
Awesome, guys. We pretty much on time. Quick round robin. Any closing comments from anybody before we wrap up? Maybe starting with the way we end with the way we began. Ricky, over to you. Closing comments, man.
Sure. Well, if I can tell anyone anything, that's what I've been saying to people for years, is just stack sats. Forget about trying to trade. Don't forget about trying to time the market. Your local fiat peso is going to zero. So just accumulate Bitcoin. That's the best thing you can do for your bloodline. Just accumulate Bitcoin and don't look at price. Carry on with what you're good at, master your craft, add value for people, stack Bitcoin.
Herman, over to you.
Yeah, I think closing thoughts is I've noticed a difference in the conversations I've been having the last couple of months, but particularly in the last month or two. And I just got a call this morning with a company that's they've got a national footprint. They don't have anything to do with Bitcoin whatsoever. They do have a charity that they operate as part of the company. They've got head offices in almost every province, and it's just fascinating to see the conversation shift. I'm very careful to say that things are accelerating because I tend to be a little bit pessimistic rather than too optimistic. I've learned that I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than be utterly disappointed. So I tend to be, but I think we're, as far as I can tell, we're definitely reaching a new sort of phase, and it's not evident at all when you look at the carnage that we saw in the price of Bitcoin and in the wider crypto world this last sort of couple of days. It looks like the apocalypse happened. But when it comes to the conversations that I'm having with just regular everyday people, there's definitely a shift in narrative. There's way more willingness to say, hey, this is interesting. Let me try and give it a go. I've not encountered this much enthusiasm ever before, and I've not encountered this little resistance ever before when talking to just regular people about regular everyday adoption, completely outside of the normal Bitcoin space. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm just so happy to be alive at this point in time in history. It's going to be one of the most interesting periods I can imagine. There's a lot of people who look back to the past and they're sort of nostalgic and sort of wish I could live in this time or that time. I wouldn't want to be alive at any other time other than this one, because it's going to be a fascinating transition going forward.
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot of things that Herman said in there, especially just the time that we are alive and finding ourselves in this age of like what is next. I think my final thoughts are there's a lot of work to be done. Don't get complacent and think, oh, there's a lot of work to be done. As Money Badger has shown, there's real work to be done in not just arguing on Twitter about this or that, but actually getting on the ground, speaking to the people, finding the touch points and their pain points, and showing them how Bitcoin and other freedom tech tools actually do solve those problems. And then at the same time, I think we should acknowledge how far we've come in the last, whenever you got into Bitcoin to now, it's been a hell of a journey. For those that were shitcoiners over the weekend and then saw the light, a lot of people literally came and were like, bro, I should have listened. It's like, you know what? Today's the perfect day to start. Today's the perfect day to start. Get a Bitcoin wallet, start learning what Bitcoin is, start buying or accepting Bitcoin for your goods and services, because there are people willing to spend it. So you don't have to go through the whole thing of, and a lot of people just don't even know that there are people willing to spend Bitcoin, bro. Like, so go have the conversations with people. even if you're irritated, even if you've told them a million times, like sometimes I get irritated with some of my friends, but they're ready now, and it's our job to help them see how to do it easily, how not to need KYC, all of that. Have the conversations, charge them if you have to, but yeah, that's my final thought: is have the conversation.
Yeah, nice, man. I think just from my side, I just want to echo what was being said. And I think here in the southern tip of Africa, we are just blazing trails over here. I mean, it seems to be coming in from grassroots. We're doing stuff that no one else is doing. From top down, we're doing sort of stuff that no one else is doing from the retail space. I mean, maybe we don't have the institutional ETF adoption like they've got in the US, but we've got the retailers and we've got the end users and Bitcoin payments, which people are starting to talk about a lot, starting to spend your Bitcoin now, is certainly being spearheaded here. So South Africa and Namibia are just kicking ass, absolutely. And it's going to be a whole chapter in the annals of Bitcoin history will be the southern tip of Africa and what we did here.
From the grassroots approach, right? The right way of doing it. Bitcoin is meant to be grassroots. It's being done from the grassroots here, bottom up. If we had to wait for institutions to do anything here, it's gonna be waiting for a pothole to be fixed in Joburg. We're gonna be waiting a long time. So that's how it goes. So I'm really, really stoked to see what's happening here. And I mean, yeah, guys are putting in the work. It's amazing. It's amazing to see. One last thing I want to say is, guys, I think we're entering the phase of nation state, the soft war, Jason Lowry-esque, Bitcoin soft war happening now. I think the next 5 years are going to be super, super interesting. I think the EU is going to get absolutely rinsed. It's going to turn into a third world, well, kind of already is, but, they're asleep at the wheel. And the Russians and the Chinese and the Americans are playing a game that Europeans have no idea what's going on. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. He who has the most Bitcoin wins at the end of the day. So we'll see how that plays out. But Germany sold all this, and it's indicative of their general approach to being smart over the past 20 years. Just sad to see, because the Germans are smart people in general, but they have terrible leaders.
Cool, guys. It's a pleasure as always. Thanks for your time. It's been amazing. I'll get this sent out today and send links through to all of you as well. And see you next month. Have a good one. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.